sis, let me tell you something. Life doesn't just happen to you. You've got to show up for it every single day, and not just show up halfway, tired, confused, or doubting your worth. I'm talking about showing up with power, with grace, with strategy. Because when a woman decides to master her daily habits, she's not just building a routine, she's building a legacy. And I don't care what your past looked like or what you didn't get taught as a little girl, today we're drawing a line in the sand. It's time to shift. It's time to become. See, discipline isn't punishment, it's preparation. And these 10 habits I'm about to share, they're not just for success, they're for survival, for wholeness, for purpose. These are the kind of habits that protect your peace, stretch your faith, align your vision, and put you back in touch with the woman God always knew you could be. Because hear me, your destiny can't afford your delay. You can't keep waking up and hoping life treats you better. You've got to treat yourself better. You've got to create a life that matches the prayers you've been crying out for. So let this be your reset. Whether you're broken or blooming, busy or barely holding on, this is your moment to reclaim your days. The enemy knows if he can distract your habits, he can delay your promise, but not today. Today we rise. Today we choose intention over impulse, power over pity, progress over perfection. These 10 habits, they're not just for women who have it all together. They're for the woman who's ready to get it all in alignment. Let's dive in, sis. Commanding your morning with prayer and intention is not just a routine. It's a spiritual alignment before the noise of the world has a chance to invade your thoughts, before social media tells you who you should be, and before the weight of your responsibilities rushes in. You must pause and center yourself in God's presence. The first few moments of your day are sacred. They are the soil where the seeds of your attitude, your mindset, and your energy are planted. And whatever you plant early will grow all day. So when a woman rises in the morning and intentionally invites the Holy Spirit into her space, she is declaring that her steps are ordered, her mind is covered, and her heart is guarded. It's not about how fancy the words sound or how long the prayer is. It's about sincerity. It's about starting your day on your knees with your heart open, saying, God, go before me. When you speak life into your day through prayer, you're not begging for peace. You're releasing it. You're aligning your atmosphere before the enemy has a chance to pollute it. You're declaring that this day doesn't belong to stress, to fear, or to chaos. It belongs to God. You're not just praying for the day to go well. You're praying through the day before it even begins. That's what commanding the morning looks like. It's prophetic preparation. And then comes intention, because after the amen comes the action. A lot of us pray and then live on autopilot, but the woman who commands her morning also sets her intention. She asks herself, what energy am I carrying today? What do I want to give? What do I refuse to accept? What would obedience look like for me today? Intention is how you steward your prayers. It's where faith and responsibility meet. You might not control every outcome, but you can control your posture. And when you choose to face the day with clarity, confidence, and purpose, you shut the door to confusion before it ever enters. Commanding your morning means you take authority over your day before your day takes authority over you. It means understanding that your morning is not just about coffee and to-do lists. It's a moment to spiritually armor up. Speaking life over yourself daily is a spiritual discipline that many overlook, yet it holds the power to completely shift your identity, your atmosphere, and your outcomes. The words you speak aren't just sounds, they are seeds. And every day you are either planting fruit or planting weeds with the things you say about yourself. Too many women wake up and immediately start rehearsing defeat. I'm tired, I'm not enough, I don't feel pretty, I'll probably mess this up. But what you speak, you start to believe, and what you believe, you begin to live out. If the first voice you hear every day is your inner critic, it will shape your self-worth before the world even gets a chance to try. And God created the world with words, and since you're made in his image, your words carry creative power too. That means you have the authority to shape your world by what you say. This is why you can't afford to be careless with your language. You can't joke about being ugly, unlovable, unlucky, or broken and not expect it to eventually take root in your subconscious. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and every day you are speaking one or the other. So choose life. Choose words that affirm the woman you're becoming, not the version of you that trauma tried to bury. Affirmations aren't empty hype. They're spiritual declarations. When you say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that's not self-help, that's scripture. When you say, I am enough, you are reminding your soul of what heaven already declared. When you say, I carry peace, I walk in favor, I am chosen, you're not making it up. You're agreeing with what God already said about who she is. Everything changes. Her walk changes. Her choices shift. Her circle upgrades. Because she's no longer looking for people to validate what she's already affirmed in herself. Speaking life means you become your own encourager. You don't wait for someone to call you beautiful, you declare it. You don't wait for someone to tell you you're strong, you speak it over yourself, even on the hard days, even when you feel weak, especially when you feel weak, because that's when it matters most. Nourishing your body like it's your assignment means treating your physical health as sacred, not optional. Your body is not just flesh and bones. It's a vessel, a temple, a divine container for purpose. And when you realize that purpose doesn't just live in your spirit but flows through your body, you begin to honor it differently. Too many women are spiritually on fire, but physically burnt out, drained, and depleted. So they pour into others from an empty cup, push themselves past exhaustion, and ignore the signals their body sends, all while asking God for more when they haven't yet managed what they already have. Nourishment isn't about dieting. It's about devotion. It's the act of saying, God, I honor the body you gave me enough to care for it. Food becomes more than fuel. It becomes stewardship. What you put into your body affects how you think, how you move, and how you feel. When you feed yourself with life-giving foods, you're not just choosing energy, you're choosing clarity. You're choosing balance. You're choosing the ability to show up fully in the assignments God has given you. That means drinking water like it's your medicine, eating greens like they're your covering, and choosing rest like it's a commandment. Because the truth is, purpose can't thrive in a body that's always in survival mode. Your spirit may be willing, but your body needs support. Movement is part of that nourishment too, not to shrink your body, but to stretch your strength. Exercise isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's a declaration that you're not just sitting back and letting life happen to you. You're rising up and participating in your own wholeness. Whether it's a walk, a workout, or simply breathing deeply, movement reminds your body that it's still alive, still powerful, still necessary. And then when you move with intention, your emotions shift, your energy returns, and your faith gets legs to walk on. And let's not ignore the rest. True nourishment includes knowing when to stop, when to sleep, when to unplug. Rest is not weakness, it's worship. It says, I trust God enough to pause. Women who master the habit of nourishment are not just healthy, they're ready. Ready for doors to open, ready for assignments to unfold, ready to carry what they've been praying for without collapsing under the weight of it. Guarding your mind with powerful input is not just about avoiding negativity. It's about being intentional with what you allow to take root in your thoughts. Your mind is the battlefield where battles are either won or lost before they ever show up in your life. What you consume mentally begins to shape your perspective, your decisions, and ultimately your identity. You can't expect to live in peace if your daily intake is filled with chaos. You can't build confidence while feeding yourself content that makes you compare, compete, or question your worth. The truth is, whatever enters your mind repeatedly will eventually become a belief, and beliefs shape behavior. When a woman learns to protect her mind, she begins to curate her life. She becomes mindful of the voices she listens to, the conversations she entertains, the media she consumes, and the environments she stays in. She doesn't just scroll endlessly, she filters. She doesn't just absorb, she discerns, because she knows her mental clarity is too valuable to be polluted by gossip, fear-based news, toxic content, or unhealed opinions. It's not about living in denial, it's about choosing wisdom. It's about creating a mental ecosystem where growth is possible, where faith has space, where peace can breathe. Powerful input doesn't mean perfect input, it means purposeful. It means waking up and deciding what gets to shape your thinking today. Maybe it's scripture that realigns your soul. Maybe it's a podcast that expands your vision. Maybe it's a sermon that speaks directly to the battle you're in. Whatever it is, it needs to lift you, challenge you, and remind you who you are and whose you are. Because your mind will believe whatever it hears the most, and if you're not feeding it truth, it will settle for lies. And when lies take root, they start to build strongholds, walls in your mind that block your joy, your purpose, and your progress. You have to train your mind the same way you would train a muscle. You have to be consistent, intentional, and patient. Transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens by alignment. That's why women who guard their mind daily are the ones who can face storms and still speak peace. They're the ones who walk into chaotic rooms and don't lose their center, because their mind isn't just filled with noise, it's filled with truth. Setting clear boundaries without guilt is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. For too long, women have been conditioned to say yes out of obligation, to stretch themselves thin in the name of love, and to carry the emotional weight of everyone around them without ever asking what it's costing them. But the truth is, boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that decide who gets access and how. And when you set a boundary, you're not being rude or difficult. You're being clear about what honors your peace, your time, and your calling. Guilt has no place when you're protecting what God has given you to steward. A woman who masters boundaries knows that every yes is a seed and every no is a safeguard. You can't say yes to your purpose while constantly saying yes to things that drain you. You can't build a life of peace while allowing chaos to call you every time it's in crisis. And you can't grow into the woman you're becoming while clinging to relationships, roles, or routines that keep you small. Setting boundaries means knowing when to answer the phone and when to let it ring. It means knowing when to help and when to let people face their own growth. It means no longer allowing guilt to bully you out of your own healing. The habit of setting boundaries must be rooted in clarity, not emotion. You don't need to feel angry to say no. You don't need to wait until you're overwhelmed to ask for space. You don't have to be exhausted to deserve rest. Boundaries are most powerful when they're proactive, not reactive. When you set them in peace, they serve as guidelines, not punishments, for how others can walk with you, and they teach people how to treat you without you constantly having to explain yourself. A woman who has boundaries is a woman who knows her value and refuses to compromise it for approval. Boundaries also help preserve your identity. Without them, you begin to blend into everyone else's expectations. You become what they need instead of who you're called to be. But when you protect your time, your energy, your values, and your voice, you create the space necessary for growth, rest, and clarity. And in that space, you find strength, you find focus. You find the version of you that's been buried under years of pleasing, performing, and pretending. Moving in purpose, not just productivity, is the difference between being busy and being impactful. In a world that praises hustle, it's easy to confuse constant motion with meaningful progress. But the truth is, you can check off 100 tasks a day and still feel empty if none of it aligns with who you are or what you were created to do. Purpose is not found in how much you do, but in how aligned your actions are with your calling. Productivity without purpose leads to burnout, but purpose with intention leads to fulfillment. A woman who masters this habit knows that she is not here to perform, she is here to impact. When you move in purpose, your priorities shift. You stop living by pressure and start living by principle. You don't say yes just because you can. You say yes because it fits into the bigger picture of who you're becoming. Purpose anchors you. It gives meaning to your work, your relationships, your schedule, and your decisions. Even on the days that feel slow or repetitive, you find power in the process because you know what it's connected to. You're not just showing up for tasks. You're showing up for transformation. You know that every step counts, even the ones no one sees. Moving in purpose means asking yourself deeper questions. Is what I'm doing feeding my spirit or just stroking my ego? Am I building what God asked me to build or just what the world rewards? Am I aligned or am I just occupied? Because purpose doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's in the sacrifice. Sometimes it's in choosing obedience over recognition. But a purposeful woman understands that every act of alignment plants a seed, and those seeds grow into legacy. Productivity can get you applause, but purpose builds something that outlives you. You were never created to live on autopilot. There is a divine reason for your existence, and every day is an opportunity to get closer to it. When you choose to move in purpose, you begin to recognize the difference between distraction and direction. You become sensitive to what's pulling you off course. You stop measuring your day by how much you got done and start measuring it by how true you were to your assignment. That shift changes everything. It brings peace to your pace and clarity to your calling. Practicing daily reflection and gratitude is how a woman learns to live from a place of fullness, not frustration. In a world that's always rushing toward the next goal, the next breakthrough, the next answer, it's easy to overlook what's already working, what's already growing, and what's already beautiful in your life. Reflection slows you down long enough to actually see yourself, your progress, your patterns, your prayers that have already been answered. And gratitude invites God into your awareness, shifting your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. It's not just about saying thank you, it's about noticing, honoring, and holding space for the blessings that are easy to miss in the noise of daily life. A woman who reflects daily becomes a woman who understands herself deeply. She pays attention to how she felt, what drained her, what gave her joy, and what needs to shift. She doesn't wait for burnout to realize something's off. She checks in with herself on purpose. This practice helps her course correct before chaos takes over. It helps her make better decisions, choose healthier relationships, and show up more authentically. Reflection isn't dwelling on the past. It's learning from it. It's the discipline of looking back, not to regret, but to grow. And in doing so, she stops repeating cycles that no longer serve her. Gratitude, when practiced daily, becomes a weapon against anxiety, comparison, and discontent. It grounds you in the present moment and reminds you that even if everything isn't perfect, something is still good. It might be the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the strength to keep going, or the lesson you didn't know you needed. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into sacred ones. It transforms your posture from striving to trusting. It helps you see that joy isn't always loud. It's often quiet, subtle, and right in front of you. Making space for both reflection and gratitude doesn't require hours. It just requires intention. Whether it's journaling, prayer, or a quiet pause before bed, these habits anchor your day in awareness and appreciation. They remind you that growth is happening, even if it's not visible yet, that healing is unfolding, even if it's still messy, that God is moving, even when it's not loud. A grateful, reflective heart becomes a magnet for peace, for wisdom, and for divine perspective. Keeping a vision before your eyes is how you keep your soul anchored when life tries to distract, delay, or discourage you. Vision isn't just about long-term goals or lofty dreams. It's about clarity. It's about knowing where you're headed and who you're becoming, even when your current season doesn't reflect it yet. Without vision, it's easy to settle. Easy to stay in relationships that don't serve you, jobs that drain you, and mindsets that limit you. But when a woman has vision, she walks differently. She doesn't allow temporary discomfort to dictate permanent decisions. She doesn't chase every opportunity. She waits for what aligns. Vision keeps your spirit awake. It gives purpose to your discipline and fuel to your faith. It helps you discern between a distraction and a divine door. And when life gets hard, and it will, vision becomes the reminder that this moment is part of a much bigger picture. You may cry, but you won't quit. You may pause, but you won't retreat, because you know you weren't just created to survive. You were created to build, to rise, to transform. Vision is the internal compass that keeps you pointed toward what God showed you, even when what you see doesn't match what He said. A woman with vision is not easily swayed. She doesn't get caught up in trends, comparisons, or the pressure to rush. She understands that real purpose is cultivated in the dark before it's ever revealed in the light. So she keeps the vision in front of her, written down, prayed over, spoken aloud. She revisits it when she feels stuck. She updates it as she grows, because she knows vision isn't just a one-time revelation. It's a living, breathing reminder of who she is called to be. It's not just about what she wants to do. It's about the kind of woman she must become to do it. Keeping your vision before you also means protecting it. Not everyone needs access to it. Not every voice deserves to speak into it. Some things are sacred, and your vision is one of them. You don't owe explanation to people who can't see what God whispered to you in secret. You owe obedience. You owe focus. You owe your future the discipline of staying aligned with what you were created for. Vision doesn't always scream. It often whispers. But if you listen closely, it will lead you through confusion, through delay, through disappointment, and straight into destiny. Cluttering your space to declutter your spirit is a sacred practice that goes far deeper than just tidying up your environment. It's about recognizing that your surroundings carry energy, and that clutter in your home, your workspace, or even your car can become a reflection of what's going on inside you. When a woman's physical space is chaotic, it often mirrors a mind that's overwhelmed, emotions that are unprocessed, and priorities that have become tangled. Clearing your space is an act of spiritual warfare. It's a declaration that confusion no longer has a place here, that heaviness is being lifted, and that order is being restored. There's something powerful about walking into a space that's clean, intentional, and aligned with your peace. It instantly calms your nervous system and opens your heart to clarity and creativity. It tells your spirit you are safe here. You are seen here. You are worthy of beauty and calm. When you remove what no longer serves you, old clothes that carry memories you've outgrown, papers from a past season, or objects tied to pain, you are releasing spiritual weight, not just physical items. And in that release, there is freedom. There is space for the new. There is room for God to move. Decluttering is not just about what you take away. It's about what you make room for. When you clear the physical clutter, you often find mental clarity. Ideas begin to flow. Decisions become easier, and your spirit feels lighter. You begin to notice what matters most, and you become more present in your day. You don't feel as reactive because your space is supporting your peace. You don't feel as rushed because your environment is no longer screaming for attention. You begin to understand that minimalism isn't about having less. It's about carrying only what aligns with your assignment. This habit also teaches discipline and self-respect. When you care for your space, you are telling yourself that you matter, that your peace is a priority, that your environment should reflect the inner healing you're pursuing. And this practice overflows into other areas. You start setting boundaries differently, managing your time better, and choosing relationships more wisely, because now you know how to release what is no longer life-giving. You've practiced letting go in the physical, and now you're strong enough to do it emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Choosing joy on purpose every day is one of the most powerful habits a woman can develop, because joy is not just an emotion, it's a decision. It's not waiting on the right circumstances to show up, the right people to act right, or the right opportunities to finally manifest. Joy is rooted in something deeper than what's happening around you. It's anchored in what's happening within you. When a woman chooses joy, she's not denying reality. She's declaring that her spirit will not be ruled by external chaos. She's saying, even if everything isn't perfect, my peace and my posture will remain steady. Joy is an act of resistance against heaviness, against bitterness, against the narrative that you have to earn happiness. It doesn't mean you're always smiling or pretending everything is okay. It means you wake up and decide to find light even in the shadows. You decide to look for the lesson, to cling to gratitude, to laugh even when it would be easier to complain. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's a woman who knows her joy is sacred and refuses to hand it over to people who didn't give it to her in the first place. Joy doesn't just happen, it must be cultivated. Sometimes it means silencing the noise so you can hear your own soul again. Sometimes it means getting up and dancing when you feel heavy. Sometimes it means turning off your phone, stepping outside, and remembering that the sky is still beautiful, that you're still breathing, that God is still present. Joy comes when you make space for wonder again, when you stop living on autopilot and start noticing the moments that deserve to be held. It's in the smile of a child, the warmth of sunlight, the silence that reminds you you're not alone. Choosing joy daily shifts your entire rhythm. You begin to expect goodness, not dread disappointment. You begin to see yourself as worthy of happiness, not just endurance. And it spreads. When a woman walks in joy, she becomes contagious. She changes rooms. She shifts energy. She becomes a reminder to others that wholeness is possible, that you don't have to wait until life is perfect to feel good. You just have to decide that your joy matters and you're willing to fight for it, nurture it, and protect it like the treasure it is. Sis, I don't know what season you're in right now. Maybe you're rebuilding, maybe you're recovering, maybe you're still figuring out how to even begin. But what I do know is this: transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's not found in the big, loud public moments. It's formed in the quiet, daily choices you make behind closed doors. These habits aren't about perfection. They're about positioning. They position you to receive, to grow, to hear God clearly, and to become the woman who doesn't just talk about change, but embodies it. Because the truth is, greatness is not random. Peace is not accidental. Joy doesn't just fall into your lap. These things are built, cultivated, and protected on purpose, and you don't need to have it all figured out to start. All you need is a yes to healing, a yes to being intentional, a yes to rising when life tries to bury you. These 10 habits, they are weapons to their weapons, tools, blueprints for becoming. And the woman who dares to master them daily will not just change her life, she'll shift generations after her. So go ahead and give yourself permission to start again. Not tomorrow, not next year, but today. Start messy, start scared, start tired if you have to, but start. Because you're not waiting on clarity, you're not waiting on applause, and you're certainly not waiting on perfection. Heaven is already backing you. Purpose is already pulling on you. And the next version of you, the healed you, the disciplined you, the anointed you, is already within reach. Show up, sis. These daily habits don't just shape your routine, they shape your destiny.